Time now for everybody's favorite guessing game, What's My Line? Brought to you by Dr. Jules Montagnier, the famous cosmetic chemist, creator of that popular trio, Stumped Spray Deodorant. Poof, there goes perspiration. Its delightful spray mate, Poof, Deodorant Body Powder. And Finesse, the new flowing cream shampoo. And now Dr. Jules Montagnier, originator of these three fine products, invites you to enjoy What's My Line?
And now, let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, a very humorous young man who is making his television dramatic debut on Tuesday night on the program called Danger, Mr. Steve Allen.
Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you very much. And on my left, one of the lovely ladies of radio and television who is now rehearsing for her soon-to-open Broadway play, Late Love, Miss Arlene Francis.
Thank you, Steve. And on my left, a gentleman who has just returned from Atlantic City, where he's been gathering material for a piece he is going to do, including the Atlantic City Beauty Contest, Judge Bennett Cerf.
They were very beautiful girls, particularly the one who was named Miss America, but they had nothing on you or Dorothy, Arlene. Or my wife, or my secretary. That takes care of everything. On my left is our peerless panel moderator, imported at incredible expense from Johannesburg, South Africa, by way of Rye, New York, John Charles Daly.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. Once again tonight, we're up to our old tricks. We've invited some friends to come in and visit and bring with them some interesting occupations. They've done their part. Now we think we can give the panel some trouble, and our guests will carry away some prizes. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before the panel a bit later in the program, but now we ought to get underway, and it's time for the experts to meet our first challenger, whose job they have to spot. So will you sign in, please, sir? Frank Allen, is that right, sir? Mr. Allen, would you tell us, first of all, where you're from?
From England.
Oh, from England. Well, how long have you been in America?
Just a few days.
Just come in for a visit?
Yes.
Well, it's nice to have somebody from the far shore with us. I think you ought to meet some more Americans. Would you walk down and meet the panel, please?
Mr. Allen?
Hands across the sea and all that?
Hip, hip.
All right, Mr. Allen. Mr. Allen, will you come over here and join me now, please? And the way we work this is that after you've had a chance to meet the panel and they to meet you, we give them one free guess as to what your line may be, and we begin our free guesses with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Well, he has a very graceful athletic walk. I think he's on some sort of team.
Mr. Allen.
Frank Allen was my great-uncle's name. I think this man is an imposter.
Miss Francis.
I think he tests the ground around the sticky wickets in the cricket matches.
Mr. Cerf.
I think he's possibly a steward on one of the great canard liners that come in.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it right. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mr. Frank Allen, and at the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. Mr. Allen, the panel has to dig, and the rules are very simple. Every time you can get a no answer from the panel, it costs the panel $5. We keep flipping cards every time you get a no answer, and when you've got 10 no's, you have won the game. The last bit of help you'll get, panel, Mr. Allen is self-employed. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Mr. Allen, is there any product involved in what you do?
No.
One down and...
Toll.
One down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Allen, are you in America on business?
Yes?
Of a sort, yes.
Of a sort.
Will you, do you perform some kind of a service?
Yes.
Will you perform that service while you're on this side of the ocean?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, do people ever observe you while you're doing what it is you do?
Do people ever observe you? I would say that they sometimes observe you while you do what you do, would you?
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
And you don't mind?
No?
Do you ever use your hands in what you do?
Yes?
Does your obviously splendid physique have any bearing on your work? Does that assist you in any way?
Yes?
In other words, you use some type of physical aptitude as well as your brain.
Yes.
Do you use any props of any sort in what you do? Do you handle any tools, machinery, or any sort of
Yes.
assistance? Is it something that I could hold in my hands, too?
Yes, you could hold it.
Is this work that is usually done by a man?
Yes.
It would be odd if I did it.
Be pleasant, but it would be.
Do you do your work more or less alone? Or you...
More or less alone. No,
More or
I
less a
would say
soloist.
that we'd have to give a no answer to that, wouldn't you? I mean, he would not necessarily. In fact, it would be difficult for him to do exactly what he does if he were alone. That makes it 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Allen.
Your complexion, sir, seems a couple of shades healthier than that of Mr. Daly. Do you...
I resent it. I resent that.
Do you do whatever you do outdoors?
Yes.
That's nice. And people, we've established people do watch you. Is there anything remotely connected with sport or entertainment connected with your work?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you work with someone else. Is it a sport in which you are engaged?
It
I
could
think
be
yes.
broadly described, so yes.
I take it then it is not a game of any kind.
Well, not as we use the term game.
No. By any chance, are animals connected with the work?
Yes.
That horrified gasp from the audience indicates that there must be animals out there. Well, I guess we have to find out what animal it is now. Huh? Four-legged?
Yes.
Large?
Yes and no.
That's helpful.
When you say no, do you mean when they're little babies?
No, what we mean is that the animals that are in question are large sometimes.
I see. I take it then they are not horses. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are they some sort of non-equine animals? I'm doing jokes all by myself here now for a moment. Are they a farm animal of any kind?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Is this animal ever seen in a circus?
Could be.
Yes.
It only could be. It wouldn't be usual for this animal to be seen in a circus?
Well, there are lots of animals. I would say, to be completely fair, that some of the animals involved would be seen with amazing regularity in a circus.
I see. May I assume that Mr. Allen uses several different kinds of animals in his work?
Either that or several different kinds of animals use him. We haven't figured that out.
Are these animals dangerous in any way?
Yes.
Do you train these animals?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Do you possibly, Mr. Allen, supply zoos and circuses with animals or collect them for that purpose?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, does your work ever take you to parts of the world other than the United States and England?
Yes.
Would you ever be found in a jungle?
Yes.
Are you by any chance a hunter?
Yes.
Are you a big game hunter?
Yes.
I'm so bad. Are you feeling like big game?
Well, actually, there's one more facet, Dorothy, that you should catch up with. Mr. Allen is a big game hunter, but he is also a...
White hunter.
That's actually right. Yes, that is the colloquial
he's a
term.
professional hunter.
He's a professional guide and hunter in Nairobi, the Kenya country, I believe. Isn't that right, sir?
That's right, yes.
And, And actually, I had a small chance to chat with him. It's wonderful work if you can get the kind he gets. He was the technical advisor and the guide for the making of the picture, Metro-Goldwyn's picture, I think it is, Mogumbo, right?
Right.
And he had all the glamour of Hollywood and all the wild animals and things like that. It's a lot of fun. Well, Mr. Allen, you did right well. I must say that you gave the panel a lot of trouble, which means we did well, too. And thanks for being our guest on What's My Line. It's nice to have you. All right, panel. A good start. Let's see what you can do with another challenger. Would you sign in, please, ma'am? Charlotte M. Charlotte M. Durov-Chalk, is that right? Very lovely orchid that you have there. You make it appear to be much brighter blossom than it really is.
Thank
Will you tell us where you're from?
Johnson City, New York.
Johnson City, New York?
That's right.
Ah, fine. You have some friends from Johnson City here with you, so have courage.
Thank
Will you go down and meet the panel, please?
Is that right, Durov-Chalk?
That's right.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now you're serious.
All right, now, Mrs. Durov-Chalk, will you come here and sit down next to me? I think very probably you know that at this point, we have what we call the wild guess. The panel gets a chance to just pluck it out of the dark, as it were, and we always begin with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she's the head matron of a hospital.
Mr. Allen.
I think she's a Boy Scout den mother.
Miss Francis.
She has an enormously strong grip. I'm with Dorothy. I think she's a trained nurse.
Mr. Sir.
I think she's the house mother of a sorority.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it, really, so we will let our viewers have a further look at Mrs. Durov-Chalk, and at the same time, we will tell them what her line is. All right, Mrs. Durov-Chalk, I think you know all the rules. Every no answer, we flip the card. 10 no's, $50, you've won the game. All right? Mrs. Durov-Chalk is self-employed. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Steve Allen.
Mrs. Durov-Chalk, do you deal in a service of any sort?
Yes, I do.
Do people come to you?
Yes.
Am I the sort of person who might ever... who might ever watch? Who might ever visit your place?
Yes.
I am. If I were to make such a visit, could it possibly make me happy?
Yes.
Do you run an establishment of some kind?
Yes.
Is or are food and drink ever served there? Might people ever phone ahead to make reservations? Is yours the sort of place where a couple might drop in on Saturday night, let's say?
We're gonna have a In the context of the question as it was asked, Mr. Allen, we've talked it over and we want to be very fair. So that's one down, 9 to go. Miss Francis.
Does health have anything to do with your work in any way?
Yes.
Would it be a place to go, your place, if you were tired and run down?
No, that's right. Actually, well, once again, we want to be very fair. We've talked this out. That makes it 2 down and 8 to go. Mr. Sir.
Miss Durov-Chalk, does this place that you run have anything to do with the state of holy matrimony? Would people be apt to come there if they were contemplating the perpetration of matrimony? I mean, legally.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr.
Just had a terrible thought. Would it be better if they were already married when they got to your place?
Yes, I would think so.
Does anything interesting and very happy happen at your place usually?
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with the flapping of storks' wings?
The flapping of what?
Stork wings?
Yes.
Well, is it some sort of a maternity pavilion?
I think we would have to accept that bird for
Oh,
eternity.
she looks like she'd run a wonderful
Mrs. Stirrup runs the maternity hospital in Johnson City, New York, right?
Right.
Well,
And you can be pretty tired and run down.
That's ex post facto. Well, Mrs. Durchuk, I'm sorry that we didn't give them more trouble.
Yes.
But you got a little prize there, and we hope you had fun, because that's the most important
Yes.
thing.
Thank
And thanks very much for being our guest. It was nice to have you on What's My Line. Now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrities. Our friends in the panel would certainly recognize our guest on sight, so they have their usual blindfolds. Are they all in place, panel, the blindfolds? Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel. As you know, in the case of our mystery celebrity, why, we just dispense with all of our usual preliminaries and get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you in any form of the entertainment business?
Mm-hmm.
What was that?
That was yes.
Have you ever appeared on a stage?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Allen.
Have you ever appeared in motion pictures?
Yes.
Have you ever been in a Technicolor picture?
Yes.
Good for you. You sound like a doll, are you?
Yes.
Are you a brunette?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But then cheer up, so are you.
But not for long. You see here, nothing is...
Typecasting, you're in danger. Go ahead, Mr. Allen.
Have you ever appeared in a musical?
Yes.
I think I better put on my reading glasses. There isn't enough to... Might we have seen one of your pictures in a first-run theater during the last year?
Yes.
Do you do a little dancing?
Very little.
Am I correct in guessing you are not, however, a dancer?
No.
Yes, you are correct in guessing you're not ever a dancer. No, yes.
Do you sometimes appear in pictures which are not of the musical sort?
Yes.
Are you under contract to one of the large studios?
Yes.
So far, so good. Oh, dear. Might we have seen one of your pictures during the last month at a first-run theater?
Probably.
I'll just take a guess in the dark here, because that's the way it is. Are you Jane Russell?
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Allen. Miss Francis.
Possible.
Pretty dark there. Would you be considered a leading woman?
Yes.
Have you been in pictures for several years, say 8 or 9 or 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
Have you, are you married?
Yes.
Are you glad? No, are you married now?
Yes.
Do you have any children?
No.
That makes it 3 down and 7 to go. Then it's Sir.
I'm a little interested in this marriage of yours. Is your husband by any chance also in the theatrical profession?
Yes.
Does he also do a bit of singing occasionally?
Yes.
Would this musical picture that you spoke about by any chance have been Showboat?
Yes.
And my goodness, we're getting some more things about you're going to be in Mogumbo, which we already had a hunter from, is that right?
Yes.
Well, you must be Ava Gardner.
Ava Gardner is right. There are lots of small comments I would like to make, panel. Number one, as you probably know, I'm a South African myself. But I've never really felt that I ought to envy any of my fellow countrymen from the whole continent till tonight. Because Mr. Frank Allen, who is our African guide hunter tonight,
Yes.
had Miss Ava Gardner and Clark Gable in train when he went out to make Mogumbo, the Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer picture. And I just think I'm going back home to become a white hunter myself.
Mr. Allen get paid for this?
Well, more than that, this is your first appearance on television.
Yes,
isn't
it is.
Oh, it's wonderful that we should have had you first on
Well,
your
thank you
first
very
television
much.
appearance on What's My Line. And it goes without saying, you seem to carry with you large success, so that we know Mogumbo is going to be as big a success as all your other pictures.
Well, thank you. I hope so.
Thanks for being our guest. It was
Thank
lovely
you,
having
sir.
you. Will you say goodnight to
Yes.
the family? All right, panel, we have just a little time left, but enough time to test you with another challenger. Would you sign in, please, ma'am? Anne Maservi, is that right? How are you? Where are you from? Is it Miss or Mrs.? Miss Maservi, and from Jersey City? All right, well, our time is not very fat, so I'm going to ask you just to walk down in front of the panel, turn right around and walk back again, if you will.
Hi.
All right, Miss Maservi, right over here now, please. And I think you are familiar with our normal practice, which is to give the panel one free wild guess as to what your line may be. We'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
Fortune teller.
Fortune teller, Mr. Allen.
I think she creates the insides of Valentine candy boxes.
Miss Francis.
I think she's part of an acrobatic act.
Mr. Sir.
I think she is Mogumbo.
No, I'm afraid nobody has it. We'll let our viewers have a further look at Miss Maservi. At the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. All right. You know the rules, Miss Maservi. Every no answer. And you come in just a bit closer, please. Thanks very much. Every time I flip a card, you've got it. We'll keep the record up here. 10 no's, and you've won the game. Miss Maservi is salaried. Let's begin the general questioning with Bennett, sir.
Miss Maservi, is there some product involved in what you do?
Yes.
Would this be a product that could be used by both sexes?
No.
One down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, is it used by a grown-up of one sex?
Yes.
More than children? Is it used in the home?
Yes.
Is it ever carried about?
Yes.
Well, is it used more by women than men?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Allen.
Is it smaller than a bird bath?
How big a bird did you have in mind?
One of those storks that was flapping around.
Yes, it's smaller than a bird box.
Is it smaller than a bread box?
Yes.
It is. Is it smaller than a loaf of bread?
Yes.
Smaller than a large bar of soap?
Yes.
Bet you lose a lot of them, don't you? Is it smaller than a regular-sized bar of soap, a hand-sized bar?
Yes.
I think so.
Is metal any part of its makeup?
Metal?
Mm-hmm.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
And this product is used, I understand, exclusively by men. Is that correct? Would it be something that a man might carry on him?
Yes.
Would it show if he carried it?
You mean, would it show because he was carrying it, or show
No, would it, if a man had one on him, would I be able to see it?
Oh, I see.
You'd
If a
probably
man
ask.
had one on him, would you be able to see? Well, I would say this, that to the degree that it has been utilized or put to some purpose that is utilitarian by any man, you would be aware of the fact that it was present.
Certainly sorry I asked that question. Would it be considered an accessory to apparel? Is it something that a man may carry in his pocket or around his neck or...
No, I don't think so. 4 down and 6 to go and about 30 seconds to go, Mr. Sir.
Would this be used by this man for any health purposes?
For his health?
Health or beautifying purposes?
Well, he slipped in the joker there, that health for beautifying. We would have to give you a yes on that, but we've run out of time, Bennett. I think you were beginning to come close. We get then a default on the basis of time for Miss Masivi, who wraps mustache wax. Miss Masivi, you and the co-prize, you're going to do another guess. In just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you a preview look at one of our guests whose line our panel is going to be asked to try and identify on next...
Good night, Steve.
Good night, boys, and good night, Arlene.
Good night, boys, and good night, Dennis.
Good night, you African wolf, Mr. Daly.
And good night, ladies, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
They come from all over the globe. The doers, the dreamers, seeking the thrill of competition and attainment of the ultimate prize, the high score. GSN.com. Serious fun.
And now, What's My Line? Brought to you by Stumped Spray Deodorant. Poof, there goes perspiration. Poof Deodorant Body Powder, the body powder you spray. The Nest Shampoo, the new flowing cream shampoo. All in the first truly functional cosmetic containers, far easier to use. All created by Dr. Jules Montagnier, the famous cosmetic chemist. Time now to enjoy What's My Line?
And now let's meet our What's My Line panel of well-known personalities whose lines you already know. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, a man whose new book, it's called Good for a Laugh, still has me chuckling. I really loved it, Mr. Bennett Church.
Thank you, Dorothy. Kalamazoo has made you more charming than ever. On my left is a girl who has more friends and admirers than a winning candidate, Miss Arlene Francis.
Oh, I don't know if I can say anything now. And on my left, the lad from whose lips come quips, Hal Block.
You're a poet and you don't even know it. And on my left, my favorite impartial political observer, who told me exclusively that this Tuesday he's going to vote for Dwight D. Stevenson, John Daly.
That makes me a Demublican, I guess. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line, presented by Stumped. Once again tonight, we're going to put the cameras on some people who've been good enough to come and visit us, all of them with varied and, we hope, hard-to-guess occupations. They're here to give our panel a run for the money to carry home some prizes. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before the panel a bit later in the program. But now to start things rolling, it's time for the experts to meet our first challenger, whose job they've got to spot. Will you sign in, please, ma'am? Virginia Dare. Virginia Boyd Jeff. Is that right? Would you be good enough to tell us, first of all, if it's Miss or Mrs.?
Miss.
Miss.
Miss. We're in
Well, you've got a tour ahead of you. Where are you from?
Reading, Pennsylvania.
Reading, Pennsylvania. Well, our friends down on the panel want to know you better, particularly the chap on the end. So would you be good enough to walk down in front of the panel for me, please?
May I see your hands, please?
May I see your hand? Very nice.
All right, Miss Boyd Jeff, will you come over here and sit down next to me now? And on the basis of your handwriting and that small trip you just took, we give at this point to the panel one free wild guess as to what your line may be. And we'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she plays the harp.
The harp, Mr. Sir.
I I think she's a girl that Bobby Clark sang that song about, I'm Robert the Roue from Reading, PA.
Miss Francis.
Well, Miss Boyjeff has stars in her eyes. I think she must be an astrologer.
Mr. Block.
Well, she's the kind of a girl you could take home to Grandma, if you could trust your grandpa.
That's probably true, but nobody has guessed her line, and so we'll let our viewers at home have another look at Miss Boyjeff, and at the same time, we will tell them what her line is. But the panel will have to dig. Now, what's going to happen? From here on in, Miss Boyjeff, is every time you give them a no answer, we'll ring it up here. They lose $5, 10 no's, and you've won the game. One last bit of help for the panel. Miss Boyjeff is self-employed. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Mr. Block.
Well, thanks a heap. Do you deal in services?
Yes.
Do you come to people for... do you go out for your services rather than have people come to you?
Well, sometimes. Yeah.
Could I possibly come to you for services? Would you do me any good?
Yes.
I think anybody... Yes, it might do you a lot of good, brother.
Well, if she did it, it might. When you do your services, do you use your hands?
Yes.
Well, are your services perhaps have anything to do with adjustment or repair or reconditioning or anything like that?
Yes.
Adjustment, repair, reconditioning, especially in his case, if you're here.
Do you usually work on just one particular thing?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Does that mean that you're versatile enough to adjust, repair, or what was it, recondition several things?
Yes, I would say that you're versatile enough to adjust, repair, or recondition several things.
Just like a package.
Do you adjust or repair these things? No, I'll start that over again. Are these sometimes things as well as people?
Are these sometimes things as well as people? That will make it 2 down and 8 to go. Mr. Sir.
Miss Boyjeff, are the things that you repair living organisms?
Yes.
Are they human beings?
Yes.
Are they members of both sexes?
Yes.
Could you also do your work for children?
Yes.
Do you sometimes do your work
Yes.
for children? Is it something to do with people's health? Does it improve their well-being, the service that you perform?
Yes.
Considerably, would you say?
Yes.
Do you do any kind of manipulation on the carcasses of said human beings?
Let's keep this in a high plane. No carcasses, please. I would say yes to that.
Do your patients or the people you're treating lie down while you're working on them?
Sometimes. Yeah.
Do they, are they fully clothed while you're fooling around with them?
Yeah.
They are.
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Sometimes. Do you work on more than one part of their body?
Yes.
Would you put yourself in any way in the classification of a masseur or something along that line?
No.
That would be 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you have to have a special kind of training for your job?
Yes.
Would you be considered in any respect in a doctor's field of work?
Yes.
Do you have anything to do with examining people in any way? I'm not just saying looking at them and examining them, but in anything that has to do with examination or that you may deduce from what you... I'm going to make this the longest question of all.
You're doing great.
Can you, do you do anything that may deduce you to have some idea of the condition of the patient or the person that comes in contact with you?
Yes.
A short answer.
Congratulations, Miss Francis. The medal will be struck in the morning.
Do you practice yourself as a doctor? Is the word doctor used when it is used with your name, Boyjeff? Are you called Dr. Boyjeff?
Yes.
Hiya, Doc.
I must find out the kind of a doctor.
Yes.
Did you say formally, Miss Boyjeff, Dr. Boyjeff, that you work both on men and women?
Yes.
Do you have a specialization in your particular field, in your job?
Yes.
Does your specialization have to do with analysis in some way? Would you be considered an internist in any way?
That would be a 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Block.
X-ray thing.
You know, after the help we got from you, we may need a conference.
Somebody must have a weenie
Can
on
we have
this.
a little conference?
Yeah, you can have 20 seconds for a
I'll
conference.
find out if it's anything, if she strives to improve them mentally as well as physically.
Maybe she's a
No,
dermatologist.
they said she uses her hands.
Maybe a dermatologist. Skin.
All right. The 20 seconds is up. Mr. Block, you will continue the general questioning.
He's worse than Arlene.
Yeah. I don't blame you for being confused.
Now,
even
with
I am.
when you say you touch people, do you, by any chance, rub them ever?
You might rub them accidentally here and there sometime.
Well, then it's more physical than, for instance, diagnosis or dermatology.
Well, there's diagnosis in the
Well, do you
establishment.
manipulate at all?
Yes, it's been determined there's a certain amount of manipulation.
Well, is it, what do they call that?
A chiropractor?
Chiropractor?
A chiropractor is wrong. Yes, Mr. Brown.
Just wanted to tell her I may see her in some of the joints.
You may see her in some of the joints. Well, I must say that, Doctor, you did very well. It took them a lot longer to get this than I thought at the beginning they would. I heard that word manipulation some time ago, and you all forgot it. You have done fairly well with the prizes, and we have done more than well because we had you as a guest. We certainly hope that you enjoyed your visit because it was nice to have you on. All right, panel, let's see what you can do with another challenge. Will you sign in, please, ma'am?
They're coming in droves.
Yes, this we're
Miss
calling...
America contest.
We're calling this Miss America or Block Night. Alice Whitney. How are you, Miss Whitney? Nice to see you.
This may be the last chance I get.
Will you tell us, first of all, where you live?
Bloomfield, New Jersey.
Bloomfield, New Jersey. And now, would you take a quick trip down in front of the panel for me, please?
And quickly back.
All right, Miss Whitney, back here, if you will, and sit down next to me. And on the basis of your handwriting and the handshake that Mr. Block has had with you and the trip that you've taken down in front of the panel, we give them one free guess now as to what your line may be. And we begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she's a dancer.
A dancer, Mr. Sir.
I think she's a stand-in for Veronica Lake.
Miss Francis.
I think she teaches a children's kindergarten.
Mr. Block.
I think she shakes very well.
Nobody has the right occupation. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Miss Whitney, and at the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. But the panel has to dig, Miss Whitney. You heard me explain the rules. Each time they give you a no answer, we'll flip a card here. 10 no's or $50, and you've won the game. One last bit of help. Miss Whitney is salaried. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Bennett, sir.
Miss Whitney, I'm going to ask you a rather important question. Do your good looks have anything to do with the work that you do?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes, I do.
Is your job mostly a service job?
Mostly a service job. Well, there's a service involved. What do you mean by mostly service?
Well, I mean, do you also have a product?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, John Daly.
Yes, I got tripped that time.
Is the product something that is used in the home?
Yes.
Used in the home, yes, it could be, isn't it?
Is it something that is used by both sexes?
Yes.
Are the sexes human?
Yes.
Is it something that would be found if it were in the home in any particular part of the home?
No, not particularly.
More than another?
This is a very tough one. Let's give her a no, and I'll take the beating afterwards. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Block.
And you will, too.
I'm afraid of it.
Can this product also be used outdoors?
Yes.
Can the use of it make people happier?
Yes.
There's something that has to do with pleasure or relaxation?
Yes.
Is this ever used, say, in the summer?
Yes.
Could it ever be found around a lake or a
Yes.
river? It's used in the- Could two people get into this? You mean more than two people it would be crowded? Yeah. And it's used on a lake. Well, would a fella and his girl jump into a thing like this and go paddling?
3 down and 7 to go.
It's not a canoe?
Not a canoe. I'm sorry, Mr. Bach. No, it's not a canoe. Miss Kilgallen.
Well, if they wouldn't jump into it, would they ever be in close proximity to it?
Close proximity to it?
Yes.
Well, to the degree that we all move about and may come into close proximity with almost anything, we could give a qualified yes to that, couldn't we?
Would they ever come in bodily contact with it?
Yes.
Yes, come on.
Would they ever sit on it?
Yes.
There are certain circumstances under which they might.
Is this thing too large to be held in the hand?
No.
This is a very delicate question. I think that if Miss Whitney will bear with me, I would say that it would be possible, perhaps, to bear it in one hand. But in terms of bulk, it would not be the sort of thing that you normally have in one hand. Would you agree to that?
Yes.
Ah, thank you, Miss Whitney. Go ahead.
Is this a manufactured article?
Pardon me?
Is this a manufactured article? Yes. Is it something that you could buy in a large department store?
Yes.
Is it used more often out of doors than indoors?
Yes.
If you used it indoors, would you ever use it in a playroom?
Well, you could.
Actually, I think, panel, if you don't mind, I'll ring the curtain down. This is an awful tough one. We didn't think you'd be able to get this. And we're going to let you have it by default, because I'm afraid they're not even getting close. Miss Whitney makes sleeping bags.
That's fine.
Sleeping bags?
Yes, makes sleeping bags, which you do use indoors, but you can also use out of doors. And you would have it near a lake. And so you win the full prize, and thanks
But
very much.
why you didn't think we'd keep it in a special part of the house, I don't know, because we always keep ours in the kitchen.
Oh, yes, we keep ours, too. We put it in the stew a good deal. Thanks very much for coming to see us. That was a real tough one. And now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we'll introduce our mystery guest. But first, here is an item of interest for all of you. And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends over on the panel would certainly recognize our guest on sight. So we've provided them with blindfolds. They're all in place, are they, panel?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? Now, come on here and sit down. All right, panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we always do away with all the usual preliminaries, get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you in any branch of the entertainment world?
Yeah.
Are you in motion pictures?
I beg your pardon, Miss Kilgallen?
Are you in motion pictures?
Yes.
Have you ever won an Academy Award?
Have you ever won an Academy Award?
Yeah.
If anybody says Leo the Lion, I'll jump right out of my skin. Go ahead, Miss Kilgallen.
Have you ever appeared in a Technicolor movie?
Yes.
I'll pass.
All right, Mr. Sir.
Are you over the age of 30?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're quite sure of that? Are you? Well, let's keep on that. Are you over 40?
Yeah.
I don't dare go any further.
Would you like to try for 80?
Have you been in a picture within the past that's been shown in one of the big Broadway houses within the past 2 or 3 months?
Yeah.
Is it possible that you're in a picture that's showing at one of the big houses right now?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Would you be considered the fellow that gets the girl in the picture?
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Block.
Oh, he doesn't.
What?
All right, Mr.
3
Block.
down.
Do you usually play sort of a character part?
Yeah.
Say that again.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to hear that voice. Do you ever play scary type roles?
Scary type roles?
Because he sure scared me.
I would say that is not the fact. No, I wouldn't say scary type roles. That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you ever play elegant characters?
Elegant characters?
Nah.
That's 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Sir.
Well, whether it's assumed or not, you sound like the kind of fellow you could be found out at Ebbets Field during the summer. Have you ever played a Brooklyn character in a movie?
Nah.
No?
That's 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you play unusual characters in pictures?
What do you mean by unusual, Miss Francis?
Well, the sort of hard-boiled friend of somebody, or the man with the missing million, or something like that. You know, the odd type person in a picture, like Eddie Gwynn, people like that.
It's a very all-encompassing question.
All my questions have been like that tonight. I have no control. By that, I mean, would you be considered a character actor of the type of Eddie Gwynn or Teddy Gwynn?
Yeah.
What's a sweeter yeah?
Might be Eddie.
Yeah. Are you from England?
Nah.
6 down, 4 to go.
Oh, he got mad. There's a clue.
So what's wrong with England? Has it been determined whether you play likable roles, too?
Well, he does play likable roles, yes.
And you say you're not playing now. Have you played in a picture that was on Broadway, say, within the last 6 months?
That has been determined that he has been in a picture that's been on Broadway in the last 2 or 3 months.
Are you married?
Nah.
7 down and 3 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Have you ever played in a picture with Bing Crosby?
You ever played in a picture with Bing Crosby?
Yeah.
Did you ever play a priest in a picture?
Yes, I did.
Oh.
Who is it, Miss
Dave, and
Kilgallen?
are you that darling Barry Fitzgerald?
It is that darling Barry Fitzgerald. Very nice to see you. Thanks for coming to see us.
You're supposed to be the quiet man?
Thank you very much, Mr. Fitzgerald. Now, panel, we have just enough time to see what you can do with another challenger. Will you come and sign in, please, ma'am? Betty? Skoronsky, is that right? How are you? It's good to see you. Where are you from? It's Miss, is it?
Mrs.
Mrs. Skoronsky, and you're from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Time is very short. We have some folks from Bridgeport. Will you just walk right down in front of the panel, turn right around and walk back again, and come over here and join me? That's fine. Now come right over here, if you will, and sit down next to me. And then on the basis of that quick walk and the decisiveness with which you trotted over there and trotted back in, we'll give them one free guess. We'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
Well, I hope she's a school teacher because it would be so nice for the children.
Oh, nice, Mr. Sir.
Some of the winter people in Barnum and Bailey Circus live in Bridgeport. I think she has something to do with the circus.
Miss Francis.
I think she's a defense worker.
Mr. Block.
I think she's a skin specialist in a salami factory.
Nobody. We'll let our viewers at home have a further look at Mrs. Skoronsky. At the same time, we'll tell them what her line is. But the panel has got to dig. And what goes on from here... Mrs. Skoronsky, you know the rules. Every no answer costs them $5. We keep the record up here. 10 no's, you've won the game. Mrs. Skoronsky is salaried. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Miss Francis.
Mrs. Skoronsky, do you work for a profit-making organization?
I do.
Does your job deal with the product in any way?
No.
No product. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Block.
And you deal mainly in services. Do you have to have any special training for your work?
No, let's give him a no. No, actually, I think in our terms of reference, we would say no there, but there is a talent required.
I'll get you later.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Would you say that your work was chiefly mental?
Well, now, you mean to the degree that physical application is not necessary?
Oh, no, only to the degree that there is more mental application than physical.
All right, go ahead, Miss Darcy. I give up. Qualified, yes.
You have said that there's no product connected with this. Right. Do you work with your hands?
Yes.
Do you work with or on both men and women?
Yes.
These are human men and women.
Human men and women.
Alive. Does what you do make them feel better?
Helps out.
Oh, I think it does. Yeah.
Does it make them look any better?
Make them look any better? Mm-hmm. That's 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Sir.
Mrs. Spronsky, do you work on a certain part of people's anatomy?
That would be 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Is there any paperwork involved in your job?
Not directly.
Well, there is an ancillary amount of paperwork.
what?
Well, I thought that was...
It's like dermatology.
We'll give a qualified... yes,
Did you say that you were salaried? I'm sorry.
Yes.
You are salaried.
Mm-hmm.
Do you work in what might be called an office as opposed to in a store or something? You
Yes.
work in an office.
Mm-hmm.
Is the kind of work that you do something that has to do with a big firm, like an insurance firm or a banking firm or that sort of thing?
Well, it's a big firm, and unhappily we've run out of time.
Oh.
And I think all of your problems will be answered when I tell you that Mrs. Koronsky sings birthday telegrams up in the Bridgeport office on the night side. And since we didn't have enough time to win the full prize, thanks very much for being our guest and What's My Line. Nice to see you. Good night. And now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you a preview look at one of our guests whose line our panel is going to be asked to try and identify on next week's program. And next week at this same time, our panel of experts will be asked, What's my line, by this young lady. Would you know what her occupation is? Could you tell us what her line is? Well, to the answers to these and a good many other interesting questions, be sure to be with us again next Sunday evening at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when once again Stumped invites you to play What's My Line? For other localities, check your local listings for the date and the time of our weekly series. Until then, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Bennett.
Good night, Arlene.
Happy trip to Houston, Hal.
And happy good night, John.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. Jules Montagnier Incorporated, makers of fine cosmetics, makers of Stumped, America's #1 spray deodorant. The deodorant in the famous flexi-plastic bottle. The deodorant whose delightful ease of application has changed the nation's habits. The deodorant you apply like this. Poof. There goes perspiration. Now invite you to play television's gayest game, What's My Line? Take a good look at this woman. If you saw her in a shoe store, would you be able to tell what she does for a living? Is she a truant officer? A woman scientist? A blues singer? What would you say if she turned to you and asked,
What's my line?
Yes, it's What's My Line, where the experts are asked to guess the occupations of real people. And now let's meet our lineup of well-known personalities whose lines you probably already know. First, the well-known Broadway columnist of the New York Journal-American, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And on my left, the noted American poet and anthologist, Mr. Louis Untermeyer.
And seated next to me, as usual, I'm happy to say, that fine actress, Arlene Francis.
Why? And on my left, our guest panelist tonight, the famous publisher and columnist, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
And on my left is the famous news analyst and the moderator and master of ceremonies of this program, Mr. John Daly.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to What's My Line, presented by Stumped. Once again tonight, we're going to put our cameras close up on a few people from some varied and perhaps unexpected occupations, all of them here to give our members on the panel a run for the money which they hope to take home with them as prize money. We'll also have a famous guest challenger before the panel a little bit later in the show. But now to start things rolling, it's time for the experts to meet our first challenger whose job they will have to spot. So will you sign in, please, sir? Fred Martini, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, Mr. Martini, first of all, tell us where you live.
Well, I live in the Bronx.
In the Bronx?
Yes, sir.
Well, most of these people over here are from New York, but don't hold it against them. However, they want to take a closer look at you. So will you walk over there in front of the panel for me?
Hello, Mr. Martini. Wait a minute. Would you come back here just a second?
Sure.
Would you do something for me?
I sure will.
Would you turn halfway around, let me see you do a knee bend?
Halfway around and do a knee bend?
Turn halfway around, do half a knee bend, if that's easier. Uh-huh. Oh, he's religious. Sort of a genuflecting knee bend. Thank you very much, Mr. Martini.
Well, indeed.
All right, Mr. Martini, I think the panel's had a close enough look at you. You come on over here and sit down next to me, if you will. And on the basis of your handwriting, what you said, how you said it, and the close look they've had at your knees, and the rest of you, we're going to give the panel one wild, free, and happy guess as to what your line may be, and we'll begin the wild guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he's a carpenter.
You think he's a carpenter, Mr. Undermeyer?
I think his name is a disguise. I think Martini is a Manhattan mixer.
Miss Francis.
Well, I'm going to stay with the clergy on that genuflect someplace along the line.
All right, Mr. Cerf.
I think Mr. Martini's a police inspector, one of the new ones.
No television man he, huh? No, I'm afraid you're all wrong, and now we're going to let our viewers at home have a really close look at Mr. Martini, and at the same time, panel, we shall tell them what his line is. But you, as usual, are going to have to fight for the facts. You know what the rules are. You ask questions in turn to be answered yes or no. Each no answer costs the panel $5. We keep a record of it right up here. 10 no's, and you've lost the game. Now, we're going to give you one more bit of help. Mr. Martini is salaried. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Mr. Undermeyer.
Do you work for a profit-making organization, Mr. Martini?
No. 1 down and 9 to go. Miss Francis.
Yes.
Are you in education in any way?
In a way.
In a way, yes, that's right.
It's kind of a hilarious way. Well, may I suppose that you have pupils?
In a way.
Half-witted, obviously. Does your work with these in-a-way pupils fit them for better living?
In a way.
Yeah, I would say so. When he gets through with them...
Does he have a job in a way?
Yeah, he's got a job in a way.
Do you touch these pupils? In a way.
Yes, I do.
Is your work in any way advisory?
No.
In a way? Oh, not in a way.
No,
What a relief.
no, we're going to
I'm
take a
glad I
no.
lost it.
2 down and 8 to go. Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Martini, are your pupils men exclusively?
No. 3 down and 7 to go. Miss Kilgallen.
Are your pupils living?
Yes, definitely.
Are they creatures which have more than 2 legs?
4 down and 6 to go. Mr. Undermeyer.
I gather now they are two-legged creatures in a way, two-legged.
You may assume what you please, Mr. Undermeyer.
I assume
Carry
that
on.
they are two-legged creatures, and that in a way he helps them, improves them. Do they ever, are they fleshy creatures?
Yes, definitely.
Do they ever get more than, I shouldn't say, very
I
fleshy?
think we can let that stand. We had a little problem, and we think we'll let that last yes stand. It might be a little confusing, so I wouldn't put too
They
much
have
store.
flesh on them, I mean.
Well, let us say that they're bulky. Go on from
They're
there.
bulky. Does he, because they are ever maybe too bulky, does he ever put them in a steam bath?
Never. 5 down, 5
May we
to
have a
go.
conference?
Yes, you may have 20
Arlene,
seconds
let's
for a
find out
conference.
what
They're
they
human
are,
beings.
for heaven's sake.
Let's find out if they're human beings and if
Yes.
they're children, maybe.
Children's a good idea.
Well, at least if they're human.
I
they
mean,
sound
they'll
awfully
be
odd.
children in a way, I feel sure about.
Charles Adams' children.
Are your pupils children?
No.
6 down
That
and
was
4 to
pretty
go,
short, too,
Mr.
wasn't
Cerf.
Are your pupils human beings?
No.
7 down and 3 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Are your pupils members of the animal kingdom, broadly speaking?
Yes.
They couldn't be fish.
Please think out loud, Miss Kilgallen. We missed that one.
She said they couldn't be fish. I don't know why they couldn't.
Well, you say they are not generally more than two-legged. Do they have legs at all?
He hasn't looked down that far.
It's technical, isn't it? Well, you're the expert. You give the answer, because I'm not an expert.
Well, they're not called legs.
Would you
They're
like to
what?
withdraw
What did he
that
say?
question?
They're not called legs. Oh. Are these things, do you want a conference?
I have a hunch.
Yes.
Something like mammals, let's say, as apart from other kinds of...
What do you mean, like what if they were microscopic?
There's been no request for a consultation panel. Go
Oh,
ahead,
there
Miss
was.
Kilgallen.
I asked Louis if he wanted one.
Leave me out.
I'm the one who said when it's going to be. Go ahead.
All
Miss
right,
Kilgallen.
I'll throw this one away. Are your creatures, whatever they are, could they be seen under a microscope?
Would you rephrase the question?
I'll just re-question.
All right, you re-question. That's a little bit difficult because, let us say, a portion of them might be put under a microscope.
Could you hold these things in your hand?
No.
8 down and 2 to go.
They're
Mr.
big.
Untermeyer.
Could you hold them in your lap?
Yes.
Are they pets?
Not as we use the term pets. 9 down and 1 to go, Miss Francis.
These animals that have something like legs, are they ever in museums?
Yes.
Are they an unusual animal?
I don't think, not in the sense of being
I mean, but they're
unusual.
not in everybody's home.
They're not. All right, on that basis, you go ahead, Miss Francis.
Would they be animals, thank you, would they be animals that you might see in a zoo?
Yes.
Are they mammals?
Yes.
Maybe it's a whale.
No, wait a minute. What about...
Would you like to have a consultation?
Oh, that's it. I know what it is.
What?
He's got it. We had our conference. I got the answer from Bennett, I think. Are you a SEAL trainer?
It's a program for flappers.
Is that fun, training SEALs?
Oh,
Very much so.
I was tempted all through, darling, to give you this. But
I still object. I still think that they are pets. I've often wanted to have a seal in the bedroom.
the kind of defense you keep, Mr. Untermeyer, your business. But I must say congratulations to the panel, and congratulations to you, too, sir. You did very well with the prizes, and thanks for being our guest on What's My Line. All right, panel, now let's see what you can do with our second challenger. So will you come and sign in, please, ma'am? Alice Matthews, is that right? Fine. Is it Miss Matthews? Well, Miss Matthews, tell us first of all where you live.
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago, Illinois. Well, I got a panel over here. You've come a long way to see them, and they want to see you. So would you mind walking over in front of the panel?
May I shake hands with you, Miss Matthews?
This is how he makes friends and influences people.
Read any good books lately?
Anything you want to say?
Could I see a ring, please?
Rings?
Rings, two
Plural.
rings. Yes, that's very interesting.
All right,
Thank
Miss
you very
Matthews,
much.
you come on over here and sit down next to me. They've
There are
had a
two
long
rings and
enough
neither
look
one
at
of
you.
them...
And on the basis of your handwriting, what you said, how you said it, the rings you have on your fingers, and the good close look they've had at you, we give them one wild, free, and happy guess as to what your line may be. And we'll begin the wild guesses as usual with Miss Kilgallen.
Well, inasmuch as she's wearing two engagement rings but no wedding ring, I would say she was always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Mr. Untermeyer.
I was going along the line that she was a professional correspondent.
A professional correspondent. Miss Francis?
I think she's a department store buyer.
A department store buyer. Very good answer. Mr. Sir?
I think she's the principal of a school.
principal of a school. No, I'm afraid you're wrong.
Wish you'd gone there.
So now we're going to let our viewers at home have a really close look at Miss Matthews, and at the same time, panel, of course, we shall tell our viewers what Miss Matthews' line is. You've got to have to dig for facts as usual, ask questions in turn, to be yes or no answers. No answers cost you $5. We keep a record of it right up here, and when there are 10 no answers, each at $5, then you have lost the game. We'll give you one more bit of help. Miss Matthews is salaried. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Miss Kilgallen.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes.
Is it a private organization?
Yes.
Is it what would be considered business?
Yes.
Do you come in contact with the public in this work?
That's difficult to answer because she comes in contact with the public in the sense that she will meet people, as we all invariably do. If you mean it in the general sense of large bodies of the public, we'd have to answer the question no. Is that what you meant?
No, I don't want you to answer
No,
it
I
that
didn't
way.
mean you meant that either. So you go ahead, Mr.
She
Kilgallen.
occasionally comes in contact with people.
Yes.
Do you sell services?
Yes.
Is there a product in connection with your services?
Yes. I like the way she keeps looking at John.
Yes.
Well, we're just trying not to mislead you. There is a
Yes.
product, but its relationship is indirect.
I see. Does your work take you from place to place?
In some instances.
Slightly. Do you deal with both men and women, whatever your service is? Does that
Yes.
apply to both men and women? I pass.
All right, Mr. Undermeyer.
Is your work advisory? Do you give advice, or is advice asked of you? You guide, counsel, befriend.
No.
I think you've messed that up sufficiently, so you can get a nice no answer. Now, 1 down and 9 to go. Miss Francis.
Well, you sort of gave me a long, warm look when I said department store buyer. So I'm going to ask you if the products and the services that you deal with have anything to do with a department store.
Yes.
Do you buy as well as sell these products?
Well, now you're assuming something.
Oh,
Do you
I
want to
thought
make the
Dorothy
first
said
part
you
of the
so.
question? No.
She deals with
Oh,
products.
deals. Do you? Thank you. Are you in some way a buyer for a department store? Or are you a buyer?
Yes.
I figured she didn't have anything to do with that department store. Got out of that in a hurry.
Now you have to tell us what
Are
you
these
buy.
products something that are used, something that you might put on?
Colloquially, yes.
Well, would it have anything to do with cosmetics? You're a cosmetic
Well, congratulations.
What do you mean,
Senna.
sort of? It looks like she'd put them on.
Well,
What would you do with
colloquially, you talk
cosmetics?
about putting on cosmetics. I was afraid you would get into clothes if we didn't give you a reasonable answer on it. But you did very well, and I hope you had some fun with us, and thanks for being our guest, Miss Matthews.
I still think she should be a public school teacher.
All right, now, before we meet our mystery guest for this evening, we have a message of interest for all our many viewers. And now we come to the regular special feature of our show, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. And because our experts over here would recognize our famous guest on sight, we've provided them with blindfolds for this special test in personality identification. So get the blinders on, panel. Now, in this particular case, it's not so much what's my line as who is it? A challenge once again to the ingenuity and the perceptive talents of our panel. Are all the blindfolds in place?
Right.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? Now you come over here and sit down beside me.
Captain McLaughlin.
All right, panel. As you know, in the case of our mystery celebrity, we dispense with the usual amenities and get right down to the general questioning, and so we'll begin that general questioning with Miss Francis.
Well, whoever this is, they must be in the entertainment world. Are you in the entertainment world?
Yes.
And it's a lady with a deep voice. Are you a performer in the entertainment world? I mean,
Yes.
an actress? Are you in pictures?
Yes.
Are you also in the theater?
No.
We don't want to be completely unfair. Our mystery celebrity has been in the theater, and I think in that context, and we won't give you a flat no. You go ahead, Miss Francis.
So that primarily, then, we say she is in pictures?
Yes.
Have you a penchant for comedy roles? Oh, no, sexy roles, I can tell. How about that?
Well, our mystery celebrity has said she has, so you go ahead, Miss Francis.
I pass.
You pass, Mr. Sir.
Do you sing in any of these pictures that you make?
Yes.
Have you ever made any pictures in which you don't sing?
Yes.
Has your last picture been a picture in which you sang, or was it one in which you did not sing?
Which I did not.
That cannot be answered yes or no, Mr. Cerf. You must ask
Did
the
you
question
sing
to be
in your
answered
last
yes or no.
picture?
I beg your pardon?
Did you sing in your last picture?
No.
1 down and 9 to go. Miss Kilgallen.
Are you blonde?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Undermeyer.
By a process of extreme elimination, are you a brunette?
Well, at this point, yes and no.
At this moment, looking at you as I am with blinders, you are a brunette. And looking at you in the same way, I presume you are glamorous. Yes. Don't bother to answer. You are glamorous. Have you been in the papers more or less recently?
I think so.
You have been in the papers more or less recently. Has a certain well-known singer made a trip to Spain in order to... Really?
Well, certainly not to see me.
What was that?
7 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you wear your hair long?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Your last picture, you say you did not sing. Were you the star of the picture?
Well, yes and no.
Well, that's a strange answer.
This is becoming modesty. The answer to that should be a thundering yes.
I'm quite professional about it.
You mean your name was below the title of the picture rather than above it?
You're getting too technical, Mr. Cerf. You go ahead with the answer that you've got and go somewhere else.
Was the last picture you made a comedy?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you ever dance in motion pictures?
I have been known to.
Oh.
Not well.
Gosh, I know that voice, and I'm in Pittsburgh. Have you appeared on television before?
Yes.
Would you like to pass?
I
Mr.
pass,
Kilgallen?
yes.
Mr. Undermeyer.
Let's get down to this picture business. You have been in pictures recently, and your most recent picture was not a comedy.
No.
What was it? The well-known, again by process of elimination, not a blonde comedy, but a brunette tragedy.
Very much, I would say.
Very much a tragedy. Well, let's have a conference now.
You may have
Very much a
15
tragedy.
seconds for a
What
conference.
recent, may I ask, was it a very great popular success? I don't like that.
I will answer yes. You go ahead, Mr. Undermeyer. 15
What
seconds
great,
for a conference.
tragedy recently with a woman who was a star and who prefers not to call herself a great star.
Ruth Roman? That sort of a
Ruth
person?
Roman, no tragedy.
It could be
Oh, it could be Gloria
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, of course it is.
Gloria Swanson.
First of all, I understand you're going to have your own radio program soon. Is that
Yes,
right?
2 weeks from tomorrow.
Oh, wonderful. Well,
very
we
excited
should
about
all
it.
watch for it. Now, before you go, Miss Swanson, we have something for you. That lovely Schiaparelli suit that you saw a moment ago is going to be presented to you by Schiaparelli and Jules Montaner Incorporated.
Oh, how very
Isn't that
nice.
lovely?
Oh, how exciting.
And I have one last word. I think that our folks should know, both at home and here in the theater, that you're going to leave Tuesday for a command performance before the King and Queen of England. Is that right?
Yes, that is right.
Fine.
Oh,
Now, would you
how
get over there and
wonderful.
satisfy those people? Thanks so much for doing that.
I knew the voice and I couldn't place it.
I knew if I said one thing to you, you'd understand.
And here is your bag, and thanks very much for being our guest on What's My Line. Good night. Panel, we've got time, I think, for one more challenge, and let's see what you can do. Will you come in and sign in, please, sir? Edwin S. Lurie, is that right? Fine. Well, tell us, first of all, where you live, Mr. Lurie.
New York City.
Another New Yorker. Fine. Well, now, we don't have too much time left, so will you walk down in front of the panel so they can get a close look at you, please?
May I see that? May you see, Dorothy? Ollie, that thing in his
insignia
lapel,
on your
the
lapel.
insignia, says what? American
What is it?
Legion.
American Legion.
American.
40 and 8.
Very
40 and
revealing.
8.
All right, Mr. Lurie, you come right back here.
Lie
Haven't got
down.
enough time for another look. You come over here and sit down next to me. Now, on the basis of your handwriting, what you said, how you said it, and that quick look they had at you, we give the panel a wild guess as to what your line may be. We'll begin the wild guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think he runs a pari-mutual machine.
A Perry Mutual. Mr. Undermeyer.
Mr. Lurie is a clown in a flea circus.
Miss Francis.
He's a diamond cutter.
A diamond cutter, Mr. Cerf.
With some hair-raising job, I would say trying out jet pilots.
No, I'm afraid you're all wrong, and now we'll let our viewers at home have a really close look at Mr. Lurie. Same time, panel, we shall tell them what his line is. You'll have to dig for facts. You know the rules. You ask questions in turn to be answered yes or no. Each no answer costs the panel $5, and we keep a record of the no answers up here. When you have lost 10 times, you have lost the game. Give you one more bit of help. Mr. Lurie is self-employed. With that, we'll begin the general questioning with Mr. Untermeyer.
All right, I'm going to take a wild chance. Mr. Lurie, is your work dangerous?
No.
1 down and 9 to go. We have less than 2 minutes to go. Miss Francis.
Is your work along the line of service?
Yes.
You do not deal in products, then?
No.
No. Do you work
That
in
got
one
you a
place?
no answer, but we won't let it count.
Yeah, I
because
was
don't
going to
think
go
you
over
were
it very
looking.
quickly on
Yes,
that
you
account.
go ahead. Yes, you
do you work in one place?
No.
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Do you work in the homes of your customers?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is what you service inanimate?
Yes.
Would it be likely that you would be requested to service this thing by men as well as women?
Yes.
And you go from place to place in order to do this?
Yes.
Do you touch what you service with your hands?
Yes.
Mr. Daly looks rather
Well, that's what
aghast
it's
at
a
that.
technicality which I'm sure you will not wish to kick my brains in for after the program is over. Go ahead, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you consider this work as something that would require a certain special ability?
Yes.
Everyone couldn't do this. I mean, yes, it's true that everyone couldn't do
No,
this.
everyone couldn't.
Miss Darley, we've got about 40 seconds
Well,
to
I'll
go.
pass to Mr. Untermeyer.
Mr.
then. Maybe
Untermeyer?
he's loaded with ideas.
Do you do anything like renovating or repairing or doing something over? No.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss
Do
Francis.
you use a large machine to do what you do?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr.
Have
Cerf.
you anything to do with entertainment of any sort?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
What you do is practical.
No.
I'd call it
Its end is
practical.
practical, yes. You have 15
Is what you
seconds.
perform upon a luxury?
No, not a luxury.
7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Undermeyer.
Is it a necessity?
It might be considered a
It might be
necessity.
considered.
And I
It's
think
something between-
that's a good point to
something
leave it. By
between-
default, Mr. Lurie wins. He is a tea taster, panel.
Oh!
And thanks very much for being our guest on What's My Line, Mr. Lurie. Good night. And now, in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you a preview look at a picture of one of the challengers whose line our panel will be asked to try and identify on our next program. This coming Sunday night here in New York, our panel of experts will be asked, "What's my line?" by this young lady. Would you know what her occupation is? Could you spot her line? Well, for the answer to this and other personality puzzles, be sure to tune in again when Stumped invites you to play What's My Line? And don't forget our new day and time, this coming Sunday and every Sunday from now on at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For other localities, check your newspaper for the date and the time of our new weekly series. And until then, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy.
Good night, Louis.
Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Bennett.
Good night, John.
And good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line?